The best way to begin a healthy week. Coming up on this episode of Clinical Monday, we shine the spotlight on Pharmacy Month. Since September, it is set aside as Pharmacy Month, bringing awareness around all things pharmacy. And joining me for this conversation, it is William Chauke. We are going to shine, or rather speak about things like e-pharmacy. What is it all about, and how can people participate? Also, what is this year's theme for Pharmacy Month 2023? Among other things, how do we dispose or expose of old medication? Well, he's answering all these questions and more coming up for this conversation. See you there. Welcome to it. For Oram Pop and Chats, we call this a Clinical Monday. And welcome to another exciting episode, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Oram Pop and Chats, or rather, we are live on Oram Pop's Facebook page. We are also on X. It is at @n_health. And on our YouTube channel, it is Oram Pop. And thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and being part of the family. We really appreciate it. And well, for this particular conversation, as you know that it is September. I want to say we are deep in the month of September, and September it is set aside to be Pharmacy Month, or rather looking at what pharmacy is, or pharmacy and pharmacists are. And to help us dilute and dive deep into this conversation, I am joined by their project coordinator. Their name is William Chauke. Please make sure that you're part of the conversation. If you have any questions or comment below, and use that and send them through. The hashtag is Clinical Monday Pharmacy Month. And yeah, man, let's just dive straight into the conversation. William, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, V. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. And how are you?
I'm excited. Well, I'm curious. Pharmacy Month, September, it's a bit, for me. So I want to understand what is Pharmacy Month, and perhaps maybe what would be the theme, because I'm assuming that the themes change every year. But what is Pharmacy Month, and what is the theme for this year?
All right, thank you so much for your question. Mm-hmm. So every year, pharmacy is celebrated in the month of September. The main purpose of that is to highlight the importance of pharmacists, the key roles that they play within different communities. Mm-hmm. And this year, the theme for Pharmacy Month is United in Pharmacy, for promoting healthcare to patients. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the roles, because pharmacists, play a specific role. So there is a relationship between pharmacists and what would then be nurses or doctors, because there is this sort of chain or relay. But let's talk about the roles that pharmacists have, and maybe expand on what kind of relationship they would then have with a nurse or a doctor.
Okay. Thank you so much again for your question. So firstly, a pharmacist is led, or pharmacists generally are governed by the South African Pharmacy Council, likewise with nurses, the Nursing Council. So what the set of rules does is just detail the responsibilities of each individual. So pharmacists generally are responsible for issuing, dispensing medication, as well as the upkeep of pharmacy, maintaining the professional standards. And then the relationship that exists, nurses would be able to dispense certain medication, but would not be able to cater for other medication categories. Basically, a pharmacist will have to take over. Alternatively, a doctor might prescribe medication on a prescription, and then it would be on the pharmacist to interpret that script and then issue the medication.
I got you. So that is sort of the relations between them. But then let's talk about the essentials. I think pharmacists would then be an essential part of a pharmacy. But what are some of the essentials, in your view, of a pharmacy?
Okay, thank you. Firstly, one would have to observe GPP, that is short for Good Pharmacy Practice, that deals with standards of the pharmacy, the professional, the premises needs to maintain a certain standard, basically. And this is detailed in an act called the Pharmacy Act 53 of 1974. It details everything from what the premises is supposed to look like from outside and inside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got you here because you are part of the KP program and you're responsible for their pharmacy. So perhaps maybe this conversation is more up in your alley, speaking about pharmacies. But I want to then talk about another sort of, I'd say it's an intervention or another exciting way or a creative way of being linked to pharmacy. It's called e-pharmacy. Perhaps maybe break it down to us on what e-pharmacy is in a broader perspective and narrowing it down then to KP.
Right, thank you. E-pharmacy is basically a concept of combining online platforms with courier services to address issues of dispensing, delivering, and ensuring that our patients receive medication. In our environment, this would cater for the PrEP component.
Yeah.
Yes. So our patients obtain the PrEP medication or PrEP treatment through the e-pharmacy model.
Yeah. So then it would also respond to people that wouldn't necessarily have to go into a clinic or a pharmacy because then it has the convenience of the medication being dropped off at your doorstep, essentially.
Yes. We can elaborate to say that is one of the benefits. Also, one gets to receive medication at the address of their choice.
Yeah.
We have reduced costs in terms of traveling to a facility to obtain medication. And we're also applying privacy when it comes to that.
Got you.
Yes.
Privacy, it's a big one. Are you part of e-pharmacy? What are some of the experiences that you have when it comes to getting services or getting medication at a pharmacy versus getting medication dropped at your doorstep? And perhaps maybe share with us some of your experiences when it comes to that. And actually, speaking of e-pharmacy, to be part of it, make sure that you follow www.popn.org to find out more, or on other social media platforms like on X, it is at @n_health. And look out for either hashtag ePrep or hashtag ePharmacy. Joining me for this conversation again, William Chauke, who is the project coordinator right here at Oram Pop. And so let's then talk about over-the-counter medication. Right, so there is, I would go and get medication over the counter versus medication that is sort of prescribed. What would then be the difference? So over-the-counter medication that I'm getting at a clinic, and versus medication that I would then get at a private setting.
All right, thank you. Over-the-counter medication, OTC, that's what we call it.
Oh.
We can shorten to say that one walks into a pharmacy to obtain over-the-counter medication. That is now medication that does not require a prescription for your minor ailments.
Yeah.
Now, in relation to that, we can speak to private practice, right? One would consult a doctor, and then if a doctor would not have a specified medication to cure your ailment or sickness, they would then write out a prescription that is then to be processed at a pharmacy. Now, clinic, this is now for, I wouldn't say, I don't want to narrow it down, but mostly it caters for individuals that wouldn't have access or the luxury of walking into or going to a private GP and then obtaining a script. But clinic, again, caters for PHC services and your minor ailments.
I got you.
Thank you.
So that then would be the difference. Then what, you spoke about compliances, as much as nurses have it, doctors and all these other professions have it, pharmacists as well have it. Let's talk about the compliances what that institution should have. So if I have a private practice, and then I have a pharmacy in the practice, then what are the compliances for that?
Okay, as mentioned earlier, there's an act called the Pharmacy Act, Act 53 of 1974, which speaks to, again, the premises professional standards.
Yeah.
There's another Act, Act 101 of 1965, which refers to mainly regulating pricing on medication, meaning, I'll just narrow it and say that all medication in South Africa have a single exit price. So it doesn't matter whether you go to one organization or another, the pricing will be the same because it's regulated.
Yeah. Speaking of, I read somewhere about, I think it's recent, about tuberculosis medication being a bit expensive, and there's a bit of a read up on it. It's quite interesting. Things that you would find there. Let's talk about dispensing of medication. So not dispensing, disposing. Okay, dispensing is a different term.
Yeah.
But basically just getting rid of medication that is expired, or it's has been there for the longest time, and what's the process like? Because we cannot just take a chunk of medication and just throw it anywhere. Yeah, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, that is a great question, and firstly, that should not be happening. If one is adhering to GPP, we shouldn't be experiencing expired stock on our shelves, because you'll be regularly doing your stock counts and making sure that you don't have expired stock or damaged items. But in the case that happens, we would have a designated container in the pharmacy where we would dispose in that container, and then we obviously have service providers that come and collect those containers for incineration.
Incineration meaning burning.
Burning of the medication.
Got you. Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Happy has a question.
Dispensing, right?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to ask William in terms of when medication is dispensed to V, and V share with other people.
Yeah.
What are pharmacists saying about that? Yes.
Okay. V is walking into a facility. V is seeking assistance in terms of medication. Medication is the medication that we dispense solely for you. We can't share medication.
Got you.
Because we don't all have the same ailments, and sometimes we need to perform tests, or doctors need to perform tests in order to prescribe the correct medication.
Specific medication.
Yeah. And
so
then
you can't?
No, we can't. We can't share medication.
Yeah, but you still have people who would say, give me the Allergex. I've walked in and got the Allergex for whatever allergies that I have. The pharmacist or whoever's, who's the health professional saw it fit that I need to get an Allergex, but somebody would just say, I have sort of the same thing, so give it to me. So it's not allowed.
No, we can't share medication.
We can't share medication. Even PrEP, you can't share PrEP.
No.
Come get your own PrEP.
Just quickly, on the question, just to add on the question of disposing medication, I mentioned stock count. If you practice your first in, first out principles, your first expiry, first out principles, you won't have expired stock.
Yeah.
Because you regularly monitoring your stock and checking where short-dated items where you can exchange with other facilities, because you might find that one facility or one item in a facility is a fast item, and then to another pharmacy a slow moving item.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then that could be. Yeah, but in my thinking, I was thinking that the input versus the output. So not many clients or patients would then need that kind of medication, and I'm just thinking that it would just be staying there and not being used. That's why it would then expire. Then you need to dispose of it. But I get the response though, that first in, first out. If you apply that principle, then it won't. Let's talk about the prescriptions then. There are medications that you cannot get with a prescription, from a pharmacist or from a pharmacy, and there are medications that you can get with a prescription. I'm not even sure if I should ask this question, but what are kind of medication that can a pharmacist give without a prescription to a client?
Okay. Medication is scheduled. Schedule 0 up until Schedule 6.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes 7. So
is it load shedding? Scheduled 0. Load shedding. Do pharmacists have load shedding? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So this means that medication Schedule 0 to 2, one can obtain from a pharmacy without a script, and then 3 and up, one would have to provide a prescription to get medication.
Would this be? Would this be? I want to say, okay. Like maybe if I have a headache, that would be Schedule 0 to whatever.
Yeah, that would be Schedule 0 to 2.
To 2.
Yes, I'll give an example.
I can even buy the thing from a tuck shop.
I'll give an example of walking into a pharmacy and asking for a Panado. It's normal paracetamol. You can get that without a script. You can further get your hydrocortisone creams, ointments. Yes, Schedule 2 items. But as for chronic items, you need to provide a script.
Interesting. Then lastly, what can be done, to bring about awareness? Because I think we know when, there's like Nurses Day, we know, nurses, and it's celebrated across, and there's awareness into, that is brought into, the importance of nurses and all that. How can we then bring about awareness when you look at, pharmacy and the role that pharmacists play, especially in terms of the community and yeah.
All right. Okay, we can make use of platforms like this one. Firstly, we can host campaigns.
Yeah.
We can, there are webinars already in place. So yes, we can also conduct community dialogues.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to raise awareness of or give a broader perspective of what pharmacy is and the impact that pharmacists have.
Got you. What is your view when it comes to all things pharmacy? What are some of the questions that you have? Don't forget to share them with us on X. It is @n_health with the hashtag Clinical Monday Pharmacy Month. And also, what are some of the questions that you have specifically looking at Pharmacy Month for 2023 with that theme in mind? How about you also celebrating pharmacies? Do you even want to be part of, in a bigger scheme of things, a pharmacist, and you want to give us medication and about dispensing and what is the other one? Dispensing and
good pharmacy practice.
Those ones. Yeah, hit us up and let us know. But William, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, thanks for popping in and shedding light on this topic.
All right, thank you so much for hosting me.
Yep. Well, we just wrapped up that conversation, and I got to tell you, quite interesting that awareness also needs to be brought to people that are in the pharmacy field, pharmacists to be specific, and also the roles that pharmacies play and the relationship they have between them and doctors. Prescription and non-prescriptions, all that has been answered, and I hope you will be also re-looking at some of the conversations that we've had so far. E-pharmacy, I did not know that it was just another alternative to pharmacy. So if you want to participate in it, don't forget to be part of the social media platforms. On X, it is @n_health. Well, with that said, we'll see you for the next conversation.